Good evening. Regular governing board meeting. I'll repeat. It seems like my mic just went on. Good evening. I would like to call to order the regularly scheduled governing board meeting of the Washington Elementary School Governing Board on this May 25th, 2023 at 7:01 p.m. Ms. Tucker, will you please do a roll call?
Governing Board members present, Governing Board President, Ms. Nikki Gomez-Whaley, Governing Board Vice President, Ms. Jenny Abbott-Bayardi, Governing Board members, Mr. Kyle Clayton, Ms. Lindsay Peterson, and Ms. Tamilia Valenzuela.
Thank you. Let's have a moment of silence and meditation. Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, can I get an adoption of the May 25th regular meeting agenda?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, next is the approval of the May 3rd special and executive session meeting minutes.
So move.
I have a motion to approve those minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that carries. Next is the approval of the May 11th regular meeting minutes. May I have a motion for that?
I'll motion to move it.
Thank you, Ms. Valenzuela. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Clayton. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Next, we have current events and acknowledgments. Board members.
Alrighty, so I had the pleasure of being at some of our promotions, which was really nice, at Royal Palm, Mountain Sky, and our online academy, and it was just really beautiful to see our students celebrating their culture, and just to listen to the wisdom that some of our students had to say, like just speaking on their experiences and what they're looking forward to for high school. And some of our educators, they mentioned their favorite educators and how they impacted their life. And I think that was just really, really beautiful. I also want to let our public community know that WESD is going to be doing summer meals for any child that is under the 18 and under. And so there's a list of that online that you can check out where those locations are and the times. And so we know that feeding hungry kids is expensive in the summer, and with prices the way they are, it's always nice to have a little bit of relief. I'd also like to call attention to, we are at the anniversary of the shooting for what happened in Uvalde, Texas, and I'm really excited because tonight we do have a resolution that is put on the table. Because unfortunately in our society it's become too often that guns are presenting to be an issue just in everyday life. So I'm really excited to hear that resolution that's being brought forth by Governing Board Member Clayton. But I hope everybody's excited for summer and has plenty of water at their house.
Thank you, President Gomez-Whaley. Well, in Glendale Union, we had students until today, so woohoo! And summer, it starts, well, tomorrow after we check out. But so I just wanted to issue my huge appreciation to our entire community for a really successful 22-23 school year. It's been hard coming off the pandemic in lots of ways, and just relearning each other and relearning school and all the other things that are going on in our society. So thank you so much to our entire WSD community that came together and helped our kids finish this year strong. there were so many events over the last month, just event, nonstop. I think Dr. Stanton probably was out till 9 or 10 o'clock at every event possible over the last 3 weeks. So I did want to just shout out the cafe that we had at Sweetwater Elementary that we were able to attend, and especially just express my appreciation to the community for coming together. Really that's what our schools are about, is being a community that supports kids and makes it a place where we can come together and have these conversations and look at what each group has to offer and how that can help build our kids. I truly believe that in all of this, everyone that's an advocate for our schools is an advocate for our students. And we may not always agree on the paths there or the words to use, but I think that cafe event was just a really nice way for people to come together and just focus on what we can do to support our students. I really appreciate the work that was put into that. And then I also had the opportunity to attend a bunch of promotions, Choya, Sweetwater, and Arroyo. And my own son graduated promoted from Choya. And I wanted to just take this opportunity as a mom to say thank you so much. He was at Chaparral from kindergarten to 4th grade, and then at the GLC at Saguaro for 5th and 6th grade, and then at Choya for 7th and 8th grade. And I cannot say enough about the educators and the people that he worked with. My kids are all so different, and so it's been interesting to see them have the same teachers over the years, and just to watch how those educators connect with them and work with them and create an environment where each individual child can thrive. So my middle son is moving on to high school, and I'm so proud of him, but I'm even more proud of the fact that I can say he's a WSD kid, and that the work that was done here is going to make him ready for high school. So I love those promotions. I've taught high school freshmen for 21 years, and so those 8th graders are coming to me, and I love to see that growth that freshman year as they come to high school. So I'm super excited for that. And I appreciate Ms. Valenzuela shouting out the summer meals. I was going to mention that as well. My own kids walked over to Chaparral this afternoon while I was at work to get some lunch so they didn't have to heat up their own chimichangas from the freezer. So that was nice. So welcome to summer, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. So to piggyback what Ms. Peterson said, shout out to Principal Susie Smith at Sweetwater for hosting the community School Connect Cafe, and then also to Pam and then to Deb Lupnaka for helping to put the whole event together. It was really great. I got to sit and visit with a bunch of different folks and just sort of hear the way that they want to be involved with our district, and it was wonderful. I haven't been to cafe since it was over at Thunderbird many years ago. So it's nice to have that again, and I hope we can put those together in all of the different regions in the district. It would be really helpful. And then I went over to the Acacia A+++ event, which was hot. It was so hot. Oh my gosh. And we were sitting up on the front, and it was so hot. But it was really an amazing thing to see 100,000, it looked like, children dancing and singing, and their teachers, the staff being out there just melting. But it was really cool. And then it was really neat too, because my parents were there, and my mom taught at Acacia for many years, and I saw Mr. Bashi, who was my 4th grade teacher, who was there. He looked a little different now that I'm a little older. And so it was fun to see him. And then also my niece, Kaylee, just finished her 2nd year teaching there under the Bridge program. And I believe she has 2 more weeks of Bridge, and then she can take her test for certification. So if there's anyone out there who has a college degree and you have a calling or a desire or just an interest in teaching, we have an awesome program called the Bridge program, which helps you to get your certification in 2 years, and you get paid to be a teacher during that time. And it was really cool just to see the WESD family tree continue. while I was there. It was awesome. And then Friday, I went to Sunny Slope, Choya, and Abraham Lincoln Traditional School to do their promotion. I love doing promotions. I heard a board member a couple years ago say it is one of the best things to do, and I love it. I just love it. I love seeing the 8th grade kids, which I taught at one time, come across, and just the excitement and celebration, and the excitement and celebration for the family members too, which is really wonderful. And then on Monday, I went to Orangewood, and then I went to my daughter's high school graduation. She graduated from Thunderbird. And on Tuesday, I went to Desert Foothills for both of those events, which was wonderful. So I'm just going to give a woo-woo, which is what I did at all the promotions. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President. It definitely has been a busy 2 weeks. After the cafe event, went to Lookout Mountain, and they had an amazing evening of the arts. Their turnout was incredible. There was barely any parking, and the students did an amazing job showing off their talents, from singing in choir to performing in the band, and also with their string instruments. So that was a really great event, and just another congratulations to Acacia for their 4A+. And then I was able to attend the English Language Academic Achievement Awards, and that was really amazing. All of the students were honored for their hard work. We had a baile folklorico dancers that performed, and teachers were honored as well. So I just want to say a congratulations to Mrs. Lehman for being the EL Teacher of the Year, and just a thank you to all of our EL teachers. But also a thank you to the translators. We had 2 different languages live translated at that event, so thank you to them. And of course it is graduation, so I was honored to attend and speak at Palo Verde, Mountain Sky, Maryland, Mountain View, and I was especially glad to speak at the New Beginnings Academy. Those students in particular have overcome a lot to get to their graduation, and I know we're all so proud of them for that accomplishment. So just thank you to all the schools for having me, Pam and the team for documenting and photographing those events and making an awesome video. And just an overall thank you to all the teachers for their hard work and dedication this year. Their time and talent has brought our students to where they are. And in particular, I just want to thank my son's 2nd grade teacher in this district. She is also a bridge teacher. So again, that program is really amazing. She did an amazing job and helped my son so much this year. So thank you to all the teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, there's been a lot going on, and thank you to everyone that was able to make all the various events that we have. Thank you for Palo Verde and Royal Palm for putting on some beautiful ceremonies. I really enjoyed seeing the different ways. This is now my 6th year of ceremonies, and just seeing the different ways that each campus honors their students is really nice. And it's also really touching to see how far some of these students have come, and the growth that they have, and the pride that their teachers have in that growth in them. And to see for our families, many of them, this is a milestone and a challenge to get this far, and a commitment to continue to support their students. So I want to give a shout out to our families, whether you're parent, grandparents, taking care to nurture and support your student. Also, of course, all the teachers and staff that are supporting our schools every single day. I know my daughter is sad that it's summer. She's going to miss her friends. She's going to miss her teachers. And I think that's something to be said about her experience over at Desert Foothills. And even my son, who's going to be a senior next year, he has been student teaching in a class at Maryland. He's part of the Ed Rising program, Future Teachers, and he's really enjoyed his experience over there in the classroom there that he's been with. He can't remember what the last name of the teacher is, so I will have to figure out from Mr. Gumpton whose class he's been in, but he has really enjoyed the time there experiencing what it is to be a teacher. And then speaking of teachers, I was asked to serve on the board of the Arizona Teacher Residency Program, which is modeled after medical residencies for teachers. And so in addition to programs like Begin, this particular program provides a 4-year program where teachers can, a student teacher with a bachelor's degree can observe for a full year in the classroom before being turned over to completely run the classroom on their own with the support and coaching of a mentor, as well as ongoing course study to achieve their master's degree, which is all paid for. And then in return, the districts that they work with get 3 years of a certified teacher with access to all of the resources at the K-12 center and on their pathway to being a nationally board certified teacher. So it's an amazing program, and I'm really proud of the work that they're doing and the education that they're providing the next generation of teachers. So with that, I will turn it to the administration.
Madam President, members of the board, members of the audience, as you've heard from all our board members, it is a very busy time of year. Was able to attend 2 trip reduction celebrations at Cholla and Desert Foothills. Thank you, Pam, for being there. Again, it's a chance. We work with Maricopa County to actually try to reduce our emissions, and so thank you to everyone who participates in that. We had our final Super Kids and Super Staff, so thank you to Desert View, Mountain View, and Sunny Slope. And again, thank you, Pam. You know, it's just wonderful to recognize kids for whatever the school chooses to recognize them for. And then the staff are always surprised. And so we're just so thankful for, and we're going to continue to do that. We're going to try to recognize as many staff and students as we can. Every year, Pam, we push the number up, and I appreciate it as well. It is that time of year. Thank you to the board for always having the arts in mind. There are so many concerts and choirs and orchestras this time of year. I got to go to Arroyo and Mountain Sky, Lookout Mountain, after you, Mr. Clayton, Desert Foothills. We had the cafe. I'll come back to that. The Cholla and Saguaro concerts were, again, just, it is amazing. And you can see that that connects many children to their education. That is the connection. So fantastic, just incredible educators. Thank you again, as was said, also the Desert Foothills Cafe. Thank you, Deb, and the team, just for bringing folks together to grow together. We appreciate that. We were part of it many moons ago over at Thunderbird, as was mentioned, and we are starting those back up again, so appreciate it as well. Again, the Acacia A Plus Quad, I guess, just amazing, an incredible event, and to see the whole school dancing and celebrating was so amazing. I also got a chance to get over to Maryland, where Kathy Kinn was a Pay It Forward Award was given to Kathy Kinn. That's the outdoor garden over there when you're over there as well. She's an amazing green thumb, incredible educator, retired allegedly, but not, because this is what she's doing with her passion as well. Thank you, Mr. Clayton, for attending the EL. I wasn't able to, but we really do need to recognize those incredible educators that do so much work. And Mrs. Moore, if you make sure Jessica knows how much we appreciate her and the team and the work they do along the way. And then thank you to the board also for being so present at all the promotions, for sharing your words of wisdom. I got to watch them on video, or I get to hear a lot of them, and just being there. That I learn more and more every year how much people appreciate that work as well. I got to go to the new Cholla I had the Cholla, and I had the multiple 3 Chollas, I had, when I get New Beginnings, Sweetwater, and Arroyo. I got a chance to close out promotions. And I do agree, Mr. Clayton, the New Beginnings one, it is extremely, those kids overcome so many challenges, but to come to where their success is, and all of them talked about their educators that made a difference in their life. And then if you haven't had a chance to ever see the Sweetwater, the letter sharing is a moment that you just don't forget. When the students give their parents or guardians their letters, they write to them, and the parents or guardians read them right there, is just an incredible, beautiful moment. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. We're now going to turn it to the recognition of our new administrators. And for that, I'll turn it to Dr. Bailey.
Let me grab it, and then Dr. Bailey, if that's all right, Madam President. So, would Lindsay Larson please come to the podium, the new principal at Lakeview Elementary. Lindsay has a master's degree in educational leadership from Northern Arizona University and a master's in curriculum instruction from Grand Canyon University. Lindsay has been in education for 17 years. She began her career with the WSD in 2015 as a reading interventionist. She's also served under the 21st Century Site Coordinator, instructional coach, and assistant principals at Sunny Slope and also currently at Desert Foothills. Fun fact about Lindsay, she's a total football mom. She not only loves the having trouble saying that, Kansas City Chiefs. but she has 2 future NFL players in her family, and you can see her on the weekends cheering them on. And she heads to Aruba every summer, or at least many summers, so congratulations, Lindsay.
I'm good. All right. President Gomez Whaley, Vice President Ms. Abbott Bayardi, governing board members, Dr. Stanton, Dr. Bailey, and other cabinet members. Thank you for this opportunity to continue working in WESD in a new capacity as the principal of Lakeview Elementary. When I began in education 17 years ago, I never thought in a million years that I would become an administrator. I began teaching 3rd grade and told myself I would teach 3rd grade for 30 years. It was the amazing mentors that I have worked with over the years that have seen more in me than I saw in myself. It is those mentors who have pushed me to jump out of my comfort zone and enter into my leadership roles that I have had. In the last 3 years as an assistant principal, I finally see in myself what they have seen in me all along. So to all of them, you know who you are. Thank you. To my family that's here tonight, I have quite the cheering section to support me. My husband and my 4 kids who have spent countless nights at various schools with me at all the events. I look forward to continuing this at Lakeview. To my mother and father-in-law for supporting me, and to my mother for always being my biggest fan. And finally, to the Lakeview staff for welcoming me with open arms. I know that I have big shoes to fill. I look forward to continuing to build on the great systems and supports already in place at Lakeview and do what is best for the success of all students. So, thank you again.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I'd like to present to you the new assistant principal at Mountain Sky Junior High, Mr. Mark Wood. Please come to the podium. Mark has a master's degree in educational leadership from Grand Canyon, and he's been in education for 15 years. He joined a WSD not that long ago in 2019 as a math and science teacher at Mountain View Elementary. He's currently now the student service specialist at Palo Verde, and he also graduated this year from our leadership academy that we call Aspire. And fun fact about Mr. Wood, he is a proud soccer dad, and he is also going back to Mountain Sky because he's an alumni of Mountain Sky. So he's going back home.
Good evening, President Gomez Whaley, board members, Dr. Stanton, Dr. Bailey, and others in attendance, and my own daughter online. Hi, Kayla. I am beyond honored to be the next assistant principal at Mountain Sky. There is no way that I could have gotten here without the support and guidance of supervisors, staff, and family. Thank you to Carol Patterson, Shannon Bonnet, Rich Morris, Dr. Bailey for their support and guidance during the Aspire program. Also, thank you to Jay Richardson, Shannon Gray, and Christina Harmon for your support and kindness on a daily basis. Sorry. Without my family, I wouldn't be where I am today. To my wife, Jennifer, my kids, Michaela, who's at soccer practice, McKenna, and Jackson, who's the loud one over there. Sorry, I apologize. I love you guys and appreciate your support. To my mom, thank you for showing me what an amazing educator of over 30 plus years looks like. I love you. Lastly, I am super excited to be joining Julia, Becky, and the staff at Mountain Sky. I look forward to adding to an already great team, and I look forward to going home to where I really became a student myself. Thank you, and go Eagles.
Ms. Tucker, do we have public participation?
Yes, we do.
And how many?
5.
Perfect. We will have Ms. Abbott Biardi read the attestation. When your name is called, please come to the podium, make sure your mic works, and look for the timer so we can make sure you get your full amount of time. And we'll turn it over.
Thank you, Madam President. The Governing Board welcomes the responsibly presented viewpoints of our students, parents, community, and staff. Our intent is to maintain a professional atmosphere that promotes public participation and the conduct of business in an orderly, efficient manner. Speakers are allotted a maximum speaking time of 3 minutes. If interpretation services are required, speakers are allotted a maximum speaking time of 6 minutes, including interpretation. Depending upon the quantity of speakers and length of the agenda, the board president may reduce this time limit. The board, through the superintendent, has established procedures for responding to questions and complaints. Board policy also requires that any grievances against board members, any district employee, or student be submitted in writing to the board president or superintendent. It is a prerogative of the board president to limit or stop any speaker who chooses to disregard this process in public comments.
Can Caitlin Foggy please come to the podium? Caitlin would like to address the board regarding board leadership and the firearm resolution, and she is speaking from the Arroyo attendance area.
Hello. Okay. Sorry, trying to find what I wanted to say here. Okay. Thank you for allowing me to be here to speak today. Thank you for all that you guys do with attending all the promotions and everything like that, and giving updates to us as well. I just want to say that I'm happy to see board leadership is on the agenda today. And I personally would like to see Lindsay Peterson as the president, being that she is a teacher, and she has intimate knowledge of the challenges students and teachers are facing these days. I also wanted to recognize Board Member Clayton's request, his resolution that he made. I truly do appreciate your heart in this matter. I really do. This is one of those subjects that need to unify us. But I will just say that sending home a piece of paper isn't going to control what families do in their own homes. This is a single tool in the toolbox that we need to have in order to increase safety on campuses. I know that SROs have been a highly contested topic among this board, and plenty of us would like to see more SROs on campus to greatly increase campus security, because like I said, we can't control what families are doing in their own homes. And that is it. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here again.
The next speaker, please come to the podium, Mr. Jack Greer. He would like to address the board regarding board performance and action, and he's a Sunset grandparent.
Good evening, board members. This is just to remind the board member that the May 11th, 2023 board meeting was held in violation of open meeting laws by having the exterior doors of the building locked. Excuse me. President Whaley confirmed this in an email to me that she sent on May 19th, 2023. As such, all actions taken during the May 11th meeting are null and void pursuant to state law. Approval of the minutes of the May 11th meeting subject this board and the district to potential criminal and civil liability. In accordance with state law, this board has until June 12th to correct this, but yet this board has not yet done anything and has remained silent on this issue with no steps taken to correct the action. If this board does not take action tonight to put in motion the necessary steps to correct the violation, the only next step to take would be to file a complaint with the county attorney's office. The second item I would like to discuss, excuse me, on May 14th, I sent 3 public records requests to the district. One, requesting information on the number of complaints filed in the last 5 years alleging religious discrimination, harassment, bias, prejudice, or favoritism. The second request was a total for the number of ACU student teachers hired by the district in the last 5 years. And the last request was a total cost per year for the last 5 years to the district for providing benefits and stipends to governing board members. To this date, I have not yet received a response to my request, which is once again a violation of ARS by this district.
The
Ms.
next
Tucker,
speaker,
I just want to do a point of clarification on, first, to request that the administration reach out with regards to any requests for information. I'm not aware of one, but I trust that it was sent. And then secondarily, to acknowledge that this open meeting law allegation was referred to council, and so further questions should be directed to administration, who is in collaboration with council.
I do have a copy of the
I'm sorry. If you have a copy of the request, go ahead and give it to Ms. Tucker. But I would ask the audience, please do not address the board directly. Once you leave the podium, your speaking time is over. Ms. Tucker, next person, please.
Ashley Minton would like to address the board regarding technology usage. She's from the Sweetwater attendance area.
Madam President, members of the board, thank you for the time to speak tonight, and thank you to those that serve on the board with the staff and students as their first priority. On that note, I'd like to say that I was genuinely surprised to see electing board leadership on such a packed agenda tonight. I would like to give some extra courage to the board to make the best decision for the staff and the students of this district. At this point, I would like to move away from having reactive comments and have some proactive ones. I know there has been a lot of board discussion concerning diversity and inclusion for the education and treatment of all students. I would like to bring up some issues that I have seen and witnessed for our students that don't have a voice, our special needs kiddos. Let me start by saying that I've met so many amazing teachers and paraprofessionals that take care of these special kiddos. I'm forever grateful and happy that my son is here. But in being in those classrooms, I've seen so many issues concerning the technology that has been purchased. The Chromebooks that have been purchased for the district are extremely difficult for our special needs kiddos with low tone and or vision issues to press hard enough to activate or zoom in enough for them to easily see. The ULS program oftentimes won't load, and when it does, it takes a long time, sometimes minutes, to load the next question. By the time the next question is loaded, these students that already struggle with attention span are checked out. The questions are often confusing, and as someone with extensive training with writing assessment questions, I have been confused with what the student is actually supposed to do. Since our special needs teachers are supposed to use the program with fidelity, many are printing the questions, recording the students' responses, and then having a para go back to enter the answers into the program. This is such a waste of paper and precious time the students could be working with the paras. We really need to make sure our special needs population is highly piloting these programs and technology to make sure they will work. All I see and hear throughout the classrooms is how difficult it is for them to use the technology that has been forced upon them. I hope that as we purchase new technology from the bond funds, that the technology needs of our special population are considered and heavily piloted so that they can have an equitable education. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, administration, I'm going to ask for someone to follow up with Ms. Minton with regards to the technology difficulties.
No. The next speaker, please step to the podium, Mr. Tom Collinson. He is a resident of WESD, and he would like to address the board regarding school board issues.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say my name's Tom Collinson, and I'm here representing myself. I don't speak for anybody or any organization, although I am an elected precinct committeeman in the Rose Precinct of Legislative District 27. I don't speak for them tonight, I speak for myself. So I'm here basically to criticize the actions of this board and to chastise you for some decisions and actions that you've taken. Not long ago, within a month or two or sometime recently, you took the action to cancel the contract with Arizona Christian University. That, in my opinion, and I give my opinion, that was a discriminatory act, that was a hateful act, and you've gotten an awful lot of backlash for doing that. So I'm here to chastise you for that particular action. I'd also like to state that, my observation at the beginning of this meeting, I think it's despicable that some of you on this board would not have the courtesy to stand during the Pledge of Allegiance to this country. And I have to ask myself, if you're not willing to stand and salute the flag of the United States, what flag are you willing to pledge allegiance to? I have that question. So I think that's a despicable act, and I don't think that's good representation for the people of this community. So having said all that, I just want to remind you, board, that we do have an active recall going against President Nikki Gomez Whaley here. That recall effort is going on right now as we speak. Petitions are being signed at this location, right outside the premises on the grounds. It's an ongoing thing. We're going to push this. We support anybody that supports whatever.
Cannot use school resources to promote.
I'm sorry, what?
We cannot use school resources to
Oh,
promote.
no, I'll be on
a
the
particular-
sidewalk. I'll be on the sidewalk.
I
That's
understand,
fine.
but coming in and talking about the recall is using school resources to promote a political act.
No. I can talk about anything I want to. And remember now that there'll be petitions to be signed if this is what you choose to do. We'll be right outside. This action is going to take place until August 1, when it's time to turn it in.
All right,
and
time is up,
sayonara.
sir.
Goodbye.
And Ms.
Thank
Tucker, can
you.
we please get some legal opinion on that?
Speaker to address the board is Ms. Tiffany Khalil. She is from the Royal Palm attendance area, and she would like to talk about new board leadership.
Good? Okay. My first request is maybe by the next board meeting, when the new school year starts, that we have these clocks on that side. That way we can look, and so we're not gearing back like this and maybe losing our concentration of what we're up here to say. I didn't write anything because I think that there's a lot of things that have been said throughout the course of the year, but I think that the fact that there's new board leadership that's being talked about and selected tonight, I think it's a really good step in the right direction. And I think that when the next school year rolls around and parents think about how if it's going to be a struggle to be involved with the board and come to these meetings or share their concerns or maybe some suggestions with you, that they won't look back at this year to see some of the negative. I think that when we elect new board leadership, that we're going to be able to move past it. I think parents are going to be encouraged. They're going to want to come to these things. They're going to want to feel that they're welcomed. I personally am looking forward to a time when we're going to be able to have some sort of town hall. Did I do that? Okay. Some town hall type of meeting where we can have a dialogue back and forth. Someone else was talking about it outside. It's awesome that we get the time to do this, but we don't have a back and forth. Those cafes, I wish I could have attended something like that. That's super awesome. But the other thing I wanted to mention is, with it being the end of the school year, I wanted to give a shout out to everybody that was involved with my daughter's 6th grade year. That was big. She came from Richard E. Miller just like I did, and she went to Royal Palm just like I did, and she's in the Cardinals Academy. and she's right over there. And she came with me one time to this meeting, and I can't get her to stay home now. So she's obviously my child. So, but one of her principals had came up to me, and she said, thank you for being at those meetings. And I may not say maybe the most, politically correct things, and it's because I speak from the heart, because I feel like this is a personal matter. It's a personal matter for all of the parents that show up and want to work with our board. So I'm super excited to be here tonight to see that that's coming around the corner. I also think that it's nothing bad to say against who we have in leadership now. I think there's a learning moment. I think that when you're in new positions and you get here, you can learn. Maybe we can reflect on what's happened. So that's it. Thanks.
That's the last one.
Thank you, Ms. Abbott. Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Let's go to approval for the consent agenda. Board members, is there anything that anyone needs to pull? Okay, seeing none, I will accept a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Valenzuela. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Peterson, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I would like to take a moment to acknowledge some of our donors. Arizona Diamondbacks, Arizona State Professionals Educators, Bank of America, Olive Garden, and Palo Verde Parent Teacher Organization. Thank you for your support. Okay. That brings us to action and discussion items, the first of which is an award of contract for our ventilation improvement. Mr. O'Brien.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, administration. Tonight we are asking for the approval of bid 22.034 for ventilation improvement at Cactus Wren and Sunset. No? Mine says 3.4. Okay. This is a project that is being funded by our ESSER 3 funding. The funding runs out in June 30th of 2024. And again, this is for ventilation, also known as HVAC, but there is also some other items to bring in fresh air and other items to the buildings.
Board members, are there any questions here? I just have one, and I don't see it here. Who's the contract being awarded to?
In the attachment, Madam President, board members, in the attachment has the tabulation. And so since this was a bid and not an RFP, that goes to the most valuable and responsive lowest bidder, which is Verigy.
Thank you. Generally, I believe that's in the motion because we have to make a motion to approve a contract with the selected vendor. Did I see it correctly? Oh, I read award of contract. Where's the recommended? Oh, I see it. Thank you. I was looking at subject. All right, so we have board members, whoever's going to make the motion, please include the language as presented in recommended action.
I move to recommend that the governing board award bid number 22.034 to Verigy LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Clayton. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Abbott Biardi. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And that's unanimous. I heard an aye from over here. And that motion carries.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is to consider and discuss and amend, if desired, the resolution brought forth by Board Member Clayton. Mr. Clayton.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight I'm bringing forth a resolution to help keep our students, staff, and community safe. Our campuses are a gun-free zone. However, we continue to see weapons brought on campus, not only in our district, but across the state and nationally. WASD has strong family and community engagement, and this resolution is another step forward in the shared goal of keeping our community safe. This resolution simply gives families additional resources and information because we do recognize the home to school connection within our district. Additionally, the National PTA and the U.S. Secret Service Threat Assessment recognizes the impact that secure storage of weapons provides our community in the safety. In fact, when weapons are securely stored, there is an 85% decrease in the risk of death or injury of children when those weapons are stored securely. I think we also must recognize that school safety is the responsibility of all adult stakeholders at each of our school sites, and providing this information will give those adults the knowledge to make an informed decision on how their weapons are stored. If this information keeps just one gun or one weapon out of the hands of a child or off one of our campuses, it will be worth it. In the future, I will also be hosting educational seminars with Vice Mayor Ansari to build that stronger community and family engagement on this topic. So I hope tonight we can pass this resolution, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clayton. Is there any questions? Comments? Okay, thank you.
I do actually have a question, and this is more for administration, just to know what the processes look like in the event of a student does come across someone that does have a gun on campus. What does the reporting process look like for that?
I'm going to have to caution against that. The discussion of our weapons policy and process is not on the agenda. Only the resolution is on the agenda. And unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to discuss that, but we could add it to a future agenda. Ms. Peterson.
Thank you, President Gomez-Whaley. I wanted to just express my appreciation to Member Clayton for bringing this forward. When he first mentioned it a few months ago, I was just so interested in this very common sense way that we can say, hey, we know that, this is a problem on our campuses. And regardless of how you feel about gun ownership, I hope that we can all agree that guns need to be stored safely. Firearms need to be kept in a way that our children don't have access to them. A few months ago, my son, who is a high school sophomore, walked into a bathroom on campus and a student had a gun. This is not something that doesn't touch our campuses. That is not something that doesn't touch my own children. My husband, excuse me, is an assistant principal in a high school in our boundaries, and guns are on our campuses, and not just our high school campuses. So I think the statistics in here talking about, how 78%, I believe it said, of firearms come from homes. And so I just love what you said, Member Clayton, about the responsibility that all adult stakeholders have in ensuring that we can keep guns off our campuses. And this is one tool. Of course, I think, the argument may be this goes home and, if you're already storing your guns safe, you don't see it. But I think that the point is well taken, that just that reminder and the reminder to our kids too, that it's amazing to me sometimes how our students will say, or my own children will say to me, hey mom, shouldn't we be doing this thing? And I'm like, yeah, we probably should be doing that thing, and so having our kids understand that that's the expectation as well is so important. So I just want to say again, I appreciate so much you being willing to bring this together, go through the steps to make sure it's ready to present, and to present it with such eloquence and passion. I appreciate it a great deal.
Thank you. I will echo that I am glad to see something moving forward. This is something I wanted to bring forth before, and so I'm really glad that we're currently in a place that this can come forward. And I echo what we know in terms of Uvalde and other ones, is most often these weapons are taken or procured from their homes and most often legally owned. And so really it's about awareness, because not a single one has said, oh, I thought my kid would get into it. Everyone has said, I didn't think my kid would do that. I thought that they knew better. And so I think it's really important for us all to have this reminder to be proactive about it, because also in every one of those situations, an SRO did not help. And so we have to do something else besides just depending on that. So this is something that we can build, and I appreciate you calling also for additional information to those that want it, right? The information will be provided according to this annually, but then there's other resources available for folks who need or want that. So thank you for bringing this forward. And with that, I'm sorry, Ms. Abbott Biardi.
Thank you, Madam President. I echo what has been spoken here. Mr. Clayton, thank you so much for doing this. And I really do appreciate the fact that the Washington Elementary School District Governing Board directs the superintendent to distribute information annually about the secure storage of firearms in Spanish and English regarding the secure storage of firearms to parents and guardians. I think this information is really going to be wonderful. And just like the resolution we passed last year for LGBTQ community within our district, and then the steps that were taken to help direct the principals and give information to them to disseminate to the teachers and staff and the community. I look forward to seeing what will be done with this. I think it's great. More information is better. And giving some families maybe who just didn't know that there were some resources that could help them to secure their firearms and weapons, I think is wonderful. So thank you, Mr. Clayton, for bringing this forward. And I look forward to seeing what becomes of this if we pass this. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Okay, then I will go ahead and entertain a motion.
I move that the governing board adopt the proposed resolution regarding safe gun storage.
Thank you.
I'll
Do we have
I'll
second?
second.
Ms. Valenzuela with the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and that carries. Board members, a copy of the resolution will be provided for signature. Okay, that brings us to our final action item, which is the call for a change in leadership. So this process will go similarly, in which we will ask anybody who is interested in the role of board president to say so. And then anyone interested in that role may have an opportunity to speak. And then we will open the floor up for a motion and proceed from there. So is there anyone who is interested in the role of president?
Madam President, I am interested in the becoming the board president.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I am open to continuation of the role. So we now have two interested parties. Ms. Abbott Biardi, I'll let you begin with your interest in this role and call for removal.
I'm sorry, what was the second part, Madam President?
The call for the removal and replacement. So I'm why you're interested in the role.
Oh, thank you. I am interested in the role as president just to serve and bring new leadership to the school district.
Okay, nothing more to say?
Nope, I just want to be a servant and offer new leadership.
Okay, questions for Ms. Abbott Biardi?
Yeah, I have a question. Why? Why are we making this motion to serve, to try to get new leadership? I would like a more in-depth answer as to why we feel this change is necessary.
Ms. Peterson?
Yeah, it was my motion, so I guess I'll respond to that. We feel like new leadership would help the district. And I don't really have to justify that. I can ask for it at any time, for any reason. So.
Okay, so I have some comments if I may go ahead and make those comments now. Okay. So, President Gomez Whaley has literally only been in office in this particular role for 5 months. Okay. I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. I genuinely don't think you guys can handle being called out when you make passive aggressive and microaggressions during any kind of engagement. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that the time we finally get someone in this role that is of color, and things can be said that this is divisive, but I have literally watched other board meetings where other board presidents made passive aggressive and bullying comments towards board members, and yet not once has anybody ever stood up, not once has anybody ever challenged them. And so I think it's absolutely comical that within 5 months you've decided that our board president can make the changes that need to be made within 5 months. You didn't even give her a chance. We have encountered some tough times. She has challenged, the only person I may add before I got on this board who even challenged some of the issues that desperately need to be talked about in this district. And I have yet to see you ever challenge anything in regards to race, in regards to some really difficult conversations that need to happen. And all I've seen is trying to placate and show that you are not one of those people, okay? But I'm gonna be real blatant with y'all. Y'all uphold some very racist actions within this district. And I think rather than ousting someone without actually giving them a chance, because I hear y'all talk about grace all the time, actually show some grace right now. Actually give her a chance to be a leader. Actually give her a chance to show you what she can do. I don't think you guys like getting called out when you do microaggressions. I don't. And that's fine. But I think you actually need to give her a chance. And while it's great that you don't have to give an explanation as to why you want to do this, I just genuinely think this is absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, any other discussion, comments?
I would just like to point out for the record that Yolanda Stevenson Strayhand, who was a woman of color, served from 1996 to 2004 and was president for 4 years. So I just want to make sure we recognize her service.
Thank you, Mr. Clayton. And that was not knowledge to the board secretary of history. So kudos on your research skills. And thank you, Miss Yolanda, last name?
Strayhand.
So with regards to my interest, I simply have not been provided any kind of information or concerns or requests as to how I have not fulfilled the office of this president. I will say that despite the fact that I have more experience than the rest of the board members combined, and the fact that I have been requested to train boards and districts across the state and country, I find it interesting that I'm being called to be removed when absolutely nothing has been given. So I'm simply just saying I'm open to the position, but I will accept the will of the board. So with that, we have had an opportunity to have questions to Ms. Abbott-Biardi, so happy to offer any questions or comments with regards to my own candidacy. Okay, hearing none, I will go ahead and entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
We have to do a voice call, and you will, each board member needs to say, since there's two candidates' names up, who they would want to be president.
Oh, okay. So I will start to my right.
I put the motion forth for Miss.
There's no motion, just
okay.
simply who you would ask for.
President Gomez Whaley.
Ms. Peterson.
Jenny Abbott Bayardi.
Ms. Abbott Bayardi.
Miss Jenny Abbott Bayardi.
Mr. Clayton.
Mrs. Abbott Bayardi.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and explain my vote. So, while it appears I am not the first, I am the first in over almost 30 years, 20 years, to sit in this position. And in that time, I am the one that looks most like our 75% BIPOC students. And so tonight, these members have decided to remove me from a term, which has not, again, been done, and maybe Mr. Clayton can fact check this as well, but in recent history, according to administration, nothing that they can recall. Since taking the office of president in January, I have not denied a single request for an agenda item, either put forth by the board members or the administration. I have ensured each member's request was understood via the board secretary and placed on the agenda as requested in a timely manner. I have provided opportunities to collect board member feedback on our protocols, and have provided more communication and individual outreach than any of the three presidents under which I served, while exercising no more discretion or privilege than has been than previously granted the role. I have also more in common with our students, not just my race, but my life experiences, and the subtle ways and not so subtle ways their potential and their worth is questioned because they dare to speak up. Despite this, my experience, both professional and personal, my entire time on the board has been a constant battle. Year after year, members on this board and even administration have minimized my relevance, my personal and professional experience, and have dismissed my concerns as a personal agenda. They would shame me for my tone or for asking questions and accuse me of not supporting the district when all I was asking for was proof of progress rather than just hollow words. In fact, 2 of these board members witnessed past presidents engage in this behavior and refused to put forth requested agenda items made by myself and others. While privately they would tell me how awful that behavior was, they were perfectly fine letting it continue the full year because a mid-year leadership meeting would look bad to the community. So what has changed? These board members have not adequately explained what I have done that is so different or egregious that it warrants me being the first president in recent history to be removed prematurely. So I must believe that this problem is personal because it has to do with me. I am not to their tastes. They are clearly uncomfortable with a woman of color being their authentic self, particularly when they are in a leader position and particularly when they are challenged. Whether they realize it or not, bias and privilege has contributed to this vote. The way I and others similar to me show up in this space is deemed inappropriate because we do not behave in the way that aligns with their definition of professional or kind. So while we have been told it sucks how they've been treating you, toughen up, it is them who are fragile. Look around. Most of the people at this dais and at the leadership table do not reflect the majority of our students and families. Instead of embracing the fact that some of us do and valuing our voices and experiences, these members have chosen to align themselves with a small faction of people who continue to choose to continue to criticize 2 women of color on this board for their ACU vote, while conveniently forgetting that the other 3 members voted exactly the same way. The same group who has come to this dais and criticized everything from Red for Ed, CDC, masks, social emotional learning, and protections for LGBTQ students, They have all now decided to rally around these two members, all for an effort to put me in my place. This vote reinforces what our Black, Indigenous, and other people of color already know. Even if you bring unique experience and knowledge, even if you are fulfilling your obligations, being your authentic self and challenging the status quo is a liability that will usually result in harassment, threats, or push out. While our words say we value inclusion and want to engage diverse voices, this vote is an action that screams the opposite. So with that, I vote no.
The motion passes for Jenny Abbott Bayardi to be board president, 3-2.
So I would like to also take a moment right now.
We are now going to have a call for, actually, we're going to have a call for vice president, and you can use your comment, say your comments at that point. Anybody interested in the office of vice president?
I would like to nominate Mr. Kyle Clayton as vice president.
Anyone else interested in the office of vice president?
I'd like to nominate myself for vice president.
Thank you. Mr. Clayton, why would you like to be, or would you accept the nomination first?
Yes.
Okay, and why would you like to be vice president?
I believe I have the time to dedicate to the role and accept the nomination.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Clayton? Okay, Ms. Valenzuela, why would you like the role of vice president?
I understand intersectionality. While I don't take pictures of all the places that I've been, I do have several conversations with many people on staff, part of the cabinet. I have connections with lots of community organizations on a wide spectrum. There's a lot that I can bring to this district, and I have actively been working to make sure that is happening and having those difficult conversations that need to be had. As a result of some of the things that have been told to me, that have been emailed to us as a board, and that I heard while I was out working to get in this position. Like I said, I understand intersectionality. I understand the need to have difficult conversations and how to have those conversations. And you can ask any staff member that has had a conversation with me, the result of those conversations and how productive they have been. And so I believe that I would be able to serve very well as vice president.
Thank you. Questions or comments for Ms. Valenzuela? Okay, hearing none, we will follow the same protocol. I will start, did I start my right or my left last time? I'll start on my left this time. Please simply just say the name of the candidate for vice president.
Kyle Clayton.
Kyle Clayton.
Tamila Valenzuela.
Mr. Clayton.
Samalia Valenzuela.
The motion for Kyle Clayton to be vice president passes 3-2.
So can I make my comment now?
Okay, after the vote, it moved on, I'm sorry. So now we are to, should we do the switching now? Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez-Whaley. It is now time for reports.
Madam President, members of the board, members of the audience, thank you for the opportunity for us to share brief updates. Again, as we talked a couple meetings ago, hopefully these are verbal reports that don't necessarily require a long written one. So I'll begin with the Administrative Services Report. Dr. Bailey.
Madam President, members of the board, and those still in the audience and listening online, my brief presentation is going to be on promotions, and thank you to the board members. Every single one of you were at our promotions. We really thank you for that. I also want to thank our CAPE, our MIS, and our Ed Tech. All of the promotions were streamlined. Thousands of people are now watching those across the country, so grandparents and other people that could not be part of it. Just really quickly, I'd just like to give a couple of comments on some of the flavor that people talked about at the promotions. For instance, in Maryland, they had a land acknowledgement right in the beginning. Also, students welcomed the audience in their home language, so that was very, very comfortable in that. At Sunny Slope, the 8th grade students actually marched through the school as the kindergarten and 7th graders actually applauded them and celebrated them, so it was really nice. At Mountain Sky, the students actually acknowledged individual teachers and gave them kudos and why they were such an impact on them. Also, the principal also stated what the incoming 7th graders had said 2 years ago on how nervous they were, and now they've changed in those types of things. At DF, the 8th grade speeches were outstanding, and at 3 schools, at ALT, at Royal Palm, and at Choya, they actually had a video of when a child was a baby or a toddler in their present day. So it was kind of nice to see the increase. Again, thank you to all of the schools that took a lot of effort to put those promotions through, and to the board members. We really appreciate you being there.
Continuing, Steve Mattingly will provide a human resource update. Steve?
Madam President, governing board members, although my topic is substitute teachers, I would just want to say thank you to all the staff members putting in a great year and effort for all the right reasons, and that's for our children. And so fantastic jobs, and kudos to them. But now to the topic. I wanted to share with the governing board that we celebrated our awesome, amazing substitute teachers with a year-end celebration. Just a fantastic job by all of our substitute teachers that were engaged in that. And we brought them in just this last week, and it was a celebration of some substitute sandwiches. I guess you can sandwiches. So sorry. But it was really exciting. It made it, for personally as a professional, I'm glad I was able to attend that. Jenny Champ put together a great celebration. Each substitute teacher had an opportunity to stand up in front of the group and tell their story, and it was really moving. It was special, and as an educator of what we do and why we do it for, and that's our children, and that is, it filled me up, and it really did, and I needed that. And so sometimes we all need to get re-energized, and it was special. And so I just wanted to share that with the board. It was special. And I'll end on this. This time last year, we had about 142 substitutes in our pool. We have over 220 right now as we speak. The substitute teachers are making a difference. Our teachers, our staff, classified, certified admin are all making a difference. It's attracting our substitutes. In the 2 short period of years I've been here, the coverage for subs the last couple of months has been higher than I've ever experienced since I've been here. So it's a reflection of a lot of things, and I think first it starts with our children. They want to serve our children in this community. In addition to that, we have great staff that they want to work with as well. So thank you so much for the opportunity to let me share that story about with the governing board. Thank you so much.
Continuing, Danny O'Brien will provide an update on business services. Danny.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. I would like to talk about the Materials Management Center, or also known as the warehouse. If not everybody knows where the warehouse is. It's a very large building on the backside of our building here. They, in the past year, probably less than a year, they've done some amazing things. Beginning last summer, as you guys remember, we adopted an ELA adoption for all grade levels, which brought in lots of materials. If you walk through that warehouse, it was stacked upon stacked upon stacked upon stacked. We also, during that adoption, went out to every school and picked up the old curriculum and brought it back here to be recycled. And the coordination that goes on with that of making the space, moving the space, collecting the items, getting it to the recycler, and doing all that is just a feat. But also over this past year, Roger Toops and his team has done a really good job of reorganizing the warehouse, getting some of the older stuff out, making room for this summer to have a math adoption. Thank you to our ESSER 3 dollars. And so they really worked hard this year to not only clean up, organize, get some other, some items that might have been ready to be disposed of and not being used anymore, to allow them the freedom of the space to do this. But they also continue to run all the mail throughout the district. They deliver to every school every week. The orders out of the warehouse. If you're not aware, most of the supplies that are bought from our schools come through the warehouse, and also about 85 to 90% of all of our deliveries go directly to the warehouse and then out to the schools. So they really do touch a lot of material. And so they worked hard, and then this summer now we have our math adoption. So currently right now we have our Gaylords, which are just really big boxes on pallets out at the schools, with the old items being put in, and then they will work again not only to collect those, but then also to get the warehouse ready in the new school ERP Pro software, which is a challenge in and of itself too. So the financial software doesn't just do payroll and HR, it also does warehouse. And then in early July, as they start to come back, to get all the pallets of the math adoption out to the schools so they can do the trainings and get it out into the classrooms. So really want to highlight them and show the hard work that they do. I appreciate everybody in the district, the teachers, the students, the admin, but we also have some of these support departments that are really important. And I would like to add, I appreciate academic services and Mrs. Moore's team. We learned, I think, last year from the adoption, and this year we're a little bit more organized and had the vendor do some pre-organizing work on their end, which is making the process a lot simpler. So thank you.
Mrs. Moore, would you please provide an academic services report?
Thank you, governing board members. Tonight, I'd like to do a short report on our refugee students that we have in our district. We are a district of diversity, and we truly appreciate the families that come from another country and entrust us with their children and to give them an education. We've had 4 family events this year in which we've been able to bring those families in and engage with. Right now, our current number of refugee students is about 585, which is up from previous years. This month alone, we've had 22 new families join Washington Elementary School District. So we are welcoming them in. We have about 8 schools that are seeing an increase in more refugee students joining their campuses. In our top 3 schools right now, Alta Vista with 148 students, Palo Verde with 58, and Washington with 44. And so those are our 3 schools that are really seeing some new families coming in. We have 5 languages that are our top 5 languages. Actually, we have over 50 some that are spoken throughout the district, but our top 5 right now, Swahili, Spanish, Arabic, Dari, and Kinyarwanda. And so those are the languages that our translation team is working very hard to try to support in our schools as well. We are hearing that about 90 more students will register over the summer, and so we're looking forward to welcoming additional families in. I would like to thank Claudia Shepard. She's our refugee parent liaison. If you've been to any of those events, she's the mastermind behind them and coordinating all those efforts, so we appreciate her for all her work. But once again, this is a cross-department effort when we do those family events, and so our EL department is involved with that, social services, the registration center, translation services, so we do appreciate everybody that works through that, and some of the pictures you see up there were from 2 events.
One was a Parent 101 class, and then the one at the bottom was actually vaccinations, in which we partnered with City of Phoenix Fire Department. They came out and did those vaccinations, and then we also had opportunities for the families to get clothing and some other items. And so we, once again, we're happy to host these events, but we also appreciate the partnerships with some of the organizations we work with. Thank you.
And Madam President, members of the board, members of the audience, finally, Superintendent's report. First, again, I do want to thank the board for all of the end-of-the-year activities you were either able to attend, or as you did, you set out your regions that you were working. So thank you for cheerleading them and liking them on social media and doing anything you could to support our departments and our schools. Thank you to the hardworking staff. I do appreciate, Mr. O'Brien, we do have unsung heroes at the classified levels. We have it in many. So we have our wonderful educators, we have our classified, we have our admin, and there are just love and energy being put out at the end of the year. And then I do want to recognize at the end of the year, we also recognize our retirees. And so each department and each school, we had 2 employees actually with 40 plus years retire. We had 7 that had 30 plus years that retired. We had another 7 that had 20 years, and we had 10 with 10 plus years. So folks, we try to offer a career for people to stay with Washington. We're always getting better, but I did want to point that out. And then it was noted by many board members at the end of the year activities. We also start to look at the year that we had, and I do want to thank Pam's department. We had 117 advisories go out. Now, those were not all crises. Sometimes it was something else, but clearly, as I think you mentioned it, Mrs. Peterson, that it just been the years after COVID have actually had their own stressors. And so, again, I thank you for everyone that's involved with that work, our social workers, our staff, our administration, Pam, your department, et cetera. But it's just another note of just the year that passed. So, again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Stanton and the whole team. And now we move on to future. I'm sorry. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Ms. Peterson.
Thank you, Ms. President Abberti. I wanted to just say 2 things. Number one, thank you, Dr. Bailey, for talking about all the unique experiences at each promotion. I am just amazed how different they all look, even though there's, a structure that keeps them the same. And I just wanted to shout out Pam's team in the video that they put together. That's sort of just an overview of every, just a little snippet of each school. That was just so fun to watch. And I mean, if you want to, I think Mr. Clayton probably has, you can watch every single promotion from all of our schools. But if you wanted to just get, that feel for what is out there, that was just a really great piece. So thanks to your team for being there at all those events, and then also putting that really cool piece together. And then I wanted to say thank you for recognizing our subs, Mr. Mattingly. I had an interesting conversation that I think I want to just bring to the public. So I was speaking to 2 teachers, one who's retiring and moving on to the next phase of their career, and another who was staying in. And the teacher was retiring, was saying, well, I think I'm going to sub, maybe even in some elementary districts and do things. And the other teacher that was there was like, what I hear that they've had to do in elementary schools because they don't have enough subs? They sometimes have to split the kids into different classes and send those kids. And I'm like, yeah, it's called split listing. My kids know what that's called. And he was like, what? They have a name for that? The kids know? Because in high school, we don't do that. Like, it looks a little different. We can cover for each other on our prep hours a little bit easier because of the scheduling. And so I was just so excited to hear that, I know that split listing is probably never going to go away completely, but the more that we have people willing to step up from our community and fill in when teachers have to be gone, the more we can take that burden off of other teachers. Because I just, we talked about that, and I was like, yeah, imagine being a 5th grade teacher and then you have 7 second graders in your classroom for the day, and that's, that doesn't make anything harder, right? And that's not our intent, of course, and we're doing the best that we can. But so thank you for appreciating them, for bringing them here, for making them want to stay here. I think that's what it's about is, obviously if we could pay our subs $500 a day, that would be great, and we could recruit them that way. But the other thing we can do is treat them like professionals, give them a space to have a voice, honor what they do, and make them feel like a part of this community and recognize how important it is. So thank you for doing that. Thank you.
Any other board members, questions or comments? I have a comment as well with regard to the promotion ceremonies. They were really interesting. I was there for the Sunny Slope one, and it gave me goosebumps just watching that whole event happen. And then I was over at Orangewood, actually, and that's where they did the same kind of thing where they walk through the building and so forth. But it was really interesting to see how every school does it differently depending on what their community needs. And then also, Mr. Mattingly, thank you for the subs that you brought the subs for them. And I too have a story which I heard this morning. I was in a doctor's office and talking to the front staff person, and we were talking about her daughter who's going into 8th grade and how she has been so disappointed with the charter school that her daughter has been in, because they promised all these great things. It's a math and science thing, and they promised all these great, you're going to learn another language and this and that, and she said, and then none of that has happened. But she said the biggest problem is that they have had so many teachers gone all year long and don't have subs, and she said the continuity of learning has been really has not been sufficient enough for her daughter, so she's going to be pulling her and putting her back in public education, which I was excited about. Not in our district, but still, it just goes to prove the point that it's great to have subs, because teachers not only just have to take a day off, they get to take a day off because that's part of their contract. They get time off, and they should take the time off when they need it. And it's nice that we have a lot of subs. Thank you so much for recognizing them. It's kind of like a substitupalooza. So, and thank you everybody else for your reports, and it's nice to see pictures. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Moving on to future reports and agenda items. Ms. Gomez-Whaley?
I have two. The first of which would be a pay equity audit, and the second of which would or a discussion around pay equity audit, and the second would be a discussion on the documents that classified teacher or classified staff were asked to sign with regards to stipends.
Thank you. I would like a staffing update for the 2023-2024 school year.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing no more future reports and agenda items, I now ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Clayton. And then thank you, Ms. Peterson. Is that all all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's the motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Thank you. And have a good evening all. Take care. The meeting ends at 8:28.